I am David Hume. Welcome to my GOAT format channel. For anyone with an iota of sense, they should realize that my name is not David Hume. Rather, he is a philosopher that has profoundly influenced me and inspired me in various ways. I hope this video should be a succinct introduction to the channel. In previous cuts, I spent 50 minutes on a soliloquy trying to explain the ironic juxtaposition of the illustration on the left with the quote on the right. Quote on the right ironically denigrates the importance of reason, while the reasoning card is presumably about reasoning, I guess. Well, I acknowledge that most people listening to me would be interested in GOAT format, and my particular flavor is playing the Reasoning Gate deck. I hope this channel should be about my journey trying to perfect the craft of being an effective pilot of the deck. And to do that, I will try to develop appropriate TTP, tactics, techniques, and procedures that can be applied in any game state to advance my position so that I would be more inclined to win the duel. Of course, that is acquired through that's a corpus of knowledge that consists of experience and theory, and it should be general enough that it could be applied in multifarious and unique game states. You are all not here listening to me be an epigon of Kane Baker, and for some homework you could look up who that guy is, and if you do that, I hope you'll find his content to be engaging and interesting, and that you would gain a significant interest in philosophy. And to be quite frank, I think philosophy is much more interesting and profound than GOAT format. And if you disagree with me, well then screw you. But of course, you could get your revenge by being a STEM major, or maybe a business major, and make more money than philosophers, I guess. AJT is not only a competent GOAT format duelist, but an engineer, and I'm sure that he would have a lucrative career, a career that would not be threatened for many decades by artificial intelligence. That would take perhaps 3 or 4 decades for them to be competent engineers. But to get to the point, this is my inaugural video, and I will provide a replay of me playing against the zombie deck on Edo Pro. It is not a particularly important duel or against a skilled opponent, but nevertheless, it's an appropriate video. I just simply provided it because it is a duel where I provide commentary and illustrate my thought process, and for GOAT format video, that is what's of interest, and people could provide some commentary, and hopefully they could see how this deck is effective, and hopefully the deck could spark some passion and desire to not only understand a deck, but rather to perfect it and to embrace it and to have the appropriate mentality. And have the appropriate mentality. It is not through reason that I play Reasoning Gate deck. It is not through reason that I play a Reasoning Gate deck, but it is largely because of my passion. On Edo, I want to analyze a duel on Edo Pro. So, this sort of introduction, I'm playing a zombie deck. The deck is badly constructed, and we will see during the replay. And also, my opponent made a horrible misplay. I won this duel, and I won this duel, And the sort of mentality is that you should take every win you get, even if your opponent horribly misplayed or is playing a crappy deck. You should have the mentality of just making the right moves, irrespective of your opponent's skill level, to be able to be able to discern the what the game state is and make the appropriate moves. It's not about whether I deserve to win or not, but I capitalize on my opponent winning. Of course, the win is nothing. It's it's more about me trying to learn, trying to get good habits, and trying to make the right plays, trying to discern the game state. It's always about that in practice. It should not be about winning. It should be about doing that. If you do that, you'll win much more often. But don't focus on the result. Focus more on the process. And here's the replay. I'm going first. I just said Jar of Greed. I mean, many players have talked about this. You don't set Book of Moon in this situation because there's not much Book of Moon could do. All it could do is stop an attack. It may be worthwhile to use Book of Moon to protect one of your other 4 cards if your opponent summons Spirit Reaper. But there's nothing. But Book of Moon doesn't really do anything. It gets more value as the game state develops. You want to use it if you get like a Visor Shock from Reasoning to clear a monster, or to protect your BLS from being snatched, or to protect your monster from being ringed. Those are the huge plays where Book of Moon has a large win probability added. But right now, it doesn't. And if you value your cards, you keep it in your hand to prevent it from being heavy stormed. So, yeah. I played Jar of Greed. I don't think this is a good move because there's nothing really worth protecting in my hand. There's nothing that's really valuable. I mean, all cards are valuable, but the question is, is there anything you want to protect from your hand that you would want to risk and put in jeopardy the card that you're going to draw? I moved the cursor so you can see that Scapegoat. Yeah, he discarded Reasoning. So my commentary here is that Jar of Greed doesn't seem to be a good play, especially especially if we're considering this particular outcome. We could have drawn any other card, but if you consider Scapegoat, it's not a card that you would want to put in jeopardy. I think getting rid of the Book of Moon is. I think Scapegoat is more valuable than Book of Moon in this case. And I discard Sacred Crane because Sacred Crane in general is not really that good. And since I revealed it, I have Scapegoat, so I don't need Sacred Crane to start a Monster Gate. And as obvious, Sacred Crane doesn't have any effect when normal summoned. I mean, I don't know what my opponent's playing now because it's just he just played Duo. But 1600 attack points is not a good beater. It gets run over by common cards like a Breaker with a counter and any of those other and Kaiku and the Warrior beaters. And 1600 attack can't get over a Grapekeeper Spy. And usually, if your opponent is playing Turbo, I think it's in the early stages of the game, it is best not to attack. You don't want to attack into a Grapekeeper Spy because you may get. I mean, in this particular deck, you may get a Visor Shock, and if your opponent flips up Magician of Faith, they'll expose it and put it in attack mode. The situation where I think attacking with a Sacred Crane or with anything attacking face down cards may favor you is if they have like a Tsukiyomi in their hand, or if they flip Faith, get some value from it, and then tribute it for Thunder Dragon and then use the Thunder Dragon to get. I mean, use use Metamorphosis on Thunder Dragon to get Balder, then you're really screwed. But normally you shouldn't attack. It's not recommended to. I don't recommend attack because it fills the grave. Yeah, I went a long rant about why you should discard Sacred Crane. I think, yeah, I said my opponent's playing a crappy deck, and I bring that up because of Upstart Goblin, and we can see opponent's hand. There's like Ryukaki and Blackwater Soldier, and usually zombie decks because they run Earth monsters. They don't have enough lights and darks to make sure Blackwater Soldier is a reliable card. And this is for, I think, my viewers' entertainment. We're gonna see the deck. This is keep in context the VLS thing. Yeah, Reflect Bounder. Let's look further. And look at his hand again. Yeah, Reflect Bounder. A crappy light. I heard that Alephia is not going to play that card anymore because it's kind of mediocre. So you have you only have one crappy light card, and there's like nothing else to like synergize with it. I set Scapegoat here, and because I have Heavy Storm, I don't set Book of Moon. One reason to set Scapegoat and Book of Moon is because I value the Scapegoat more. So if an opponent has like Mystical Space Typhoon and Trap Does Shoot, uh, there's like a 50% chance that they may get rid of the Book of Moon. But since I have Heavy Storm, I don't set this. I just set Scapegoat and just take the risk that I'll get MST'd or Dust Tornadoed. I think that's probably the optimal play because you have Heavy Storm. If you don't have Heavy Storm, the optimal play is just to set these two cards. Card Destruction. That makes the BLS moot, although I'm making a comment about my opponent's plays, not my own plays. I just thought it's interesting that you're playing that card, that my opponent's playing that card. So again, Book of Moon makes this moot because you trade a dead BLS for something that's live. Not a spectacular hand. So let's see what Fortune gives us. Upstart again. Kaiku. Opponent summons Kaiku. I have Scapegoat. Kaiku makes the decision really simple. Just activate Scapegoat because, I mean, I have a lot of life points, but I want to protect the Sacred Crane that was discarded by Delinquent Duo. So I activate Scapegoat. Opponent has 2 set cards. I said Scapegoat. When I was playing this duel, one reason why, I don't know if this is a good reason, but one reason why I said Scapegoat was to potentially bait out an MST. So my Snatch could go through. Also, setting Scapegoat, it's currently a dead card, but it's also extra insurance that if they get a tribe, because you could activate it during your end phase and things like that. I said my opponent misplayed horribly, and I brought it up because opponent drew Royal Decree. We will see that this card he did not get any value from this. And he didn't get any value not because of any error that anything that I forced my opponent to do. He just didn't play it correctly. Stein-Gate is summoned. Yeah, I drew call. I did not engage in appropriate hand shuffling, I guess. But I activated Snatch Deal because I want to reduce my. I want to reduce my opponent's monster count. So if I have a scapegoat in the subsequent turn, it would take a lot more turns and it's use a normal summon to clear them out, and so it gives me more turns to draw into with the power cards or some spell trap removal against those sorts of things. And opponent has 7,000 life. Yes, on top. I mean, he has Master Vaz on top. My opponent has 7,000 life points, so and then attack mode Sangan. So if I get a Stein and equip with Megamorph, it connects. It's game over. But I'm just using it just to reduce the monster count, so I could get into it. So I could draw more cards by killing the Sangan. He booked it. Not, I had knock, so I wanted to reduce my opponent's monster count. I wanted to, on the field. So that's the most obvious play. And it's a zombie deck, so I don't think, yeah, I don't think my opponent would be prone to setting monsters. I set the call. I mean, note that Call the Haunted and Scapegoat don't work that well together. And here we're going to see opponent misplays. I think I misplayed here. Did I? I think I misplayed by activating it. Maybe not, because I could use. Well, I could have activated Call the Haunted. I could have activated Call the Haunted and then use it to use Call to tribute and use Monster Gate to tribute the Crane. I activate Call on the Haunted right here, and I made a mistake by activating Call right now. I mean, not right now because it's a standby phase, but using priority in my main phase 1 by activating Call the Haunted immediately. Obviously, I mean, you could just, if you take like 10 seconds, you could probably discern the mistake. Yeah, I just drew a card, and by activating Call the Haunted gets Sacred Crane, I would draw another card, and 3 plus 1 equals 4. And 3 plus 1 equals 4 is the Fear of Dust Trap Dust Shoot. So I think setting Megamorph is probably the best. It's probably the best play it's probably the best play. Not the best draw. Decided to tribute Crane for Visor Shock to remove the 2 cards, which are bluffs. I mean, I didn't say this before, but with the Royal Decree thing, if opponent, my opponent has Royal Decree, you play Royal Decree to hinder your opponent from advancing their gain state by using trap cards, and now I just did that by activating Call the Haunted on Sacred Crane, because I made the mistake of activating Scapegoat, while instead of just taking a paltry 1200, instead of doing the safe thing like activate it on my opponent's end phase. Now my opponent, if my opponent had set it, he could have negated the Call of the Haunted, and that duel of the outcome would probably be in more favor of him or her. But why would you not set this card? You're running, like I said, you're running Royal Decree to hinder your opponent. And if you want to get the benefits of hindering your opponent, you have to put it at risk from a Dust Tornado or from a Mystical Space Typhoon or I get Key Break. And you're running it in your main deck. This is a single duel. So it's like running Mirror Force. You have to set the card. You have to put it at risk in order to get value from it. And because you didn't take that risk, I was able to get a card. I was able to get a monster and a card. The Bison Shock Tribute, it got rid of those two. It got rid of the two back row. So, and like I said before, points at 7,000, and getting a Stein is just game over. But we're looking at the graveyard. There's only a Sacred Crane, so there's still a lot of monsters that I could get. But getting a Stein is game over, and you'll just win through luck, and I'll win through luck. So I don't think there's any reason not to. This is probably one of the best chances I have. I didn't get it. I drew Mirror Force. Again, if opponent set Royal Decree and activated at the call of the Haunted, Visor Shock would not be summoned. It would just be face up. And it would be face up. And yeah, I think I drew Demock from Sacred Crane. But I would probably get, in the counterfactual, I may have gotten a Demock if I just played the Monster Gate. Getting Demock was bad with the, I think I got it from the Crane draw, because it's bad because I need to work to get value from it. I didn't care if my opponent gets Exile Force. Bad draw, not a good draw on his part. He doesn't need to put a zombie in the grave because he has Ryukaki there. A greedy play. You play Royal Decree, so you don't have to deal with this bullshit of a Mirror Force. And I just punished him. Obviously, I have to activate Mirror Force. I activated Mirror Force to protect these two. So the Demock. Now he sets Royal Decree. He sets Royal Decree, which is funny. I think it's the most obvious play here. This card getting Solemned or isn't so bad because the opponent will lose 3,200. Plus, regardless of what my opponent does, whether there's a Torrential Tribute, I would still get a card. So I think it's a worthwhile risk. We'll look at the graveyard. It's not only what cards that are in my graveyard, but also what cards are in my deck. There's a Premature, which could get. There's a Premature, and there's like two Sacred Cranes, so I could just get these two cards, and I could banish these two and have remaining Sacred Crane. And yeah. And also there's Stein, so drawing it for a normal summon isn't so bad. And plus, these two cards are very valuable. So I don't want to there's nothing in my hand I want to discard. I just want to get the +1 from Pot of greed instead of drawing that extra card and having to discard 2 from Graceful Charity. So getting Pot just seems to be the best card. Couldn't go for a Monster Gate because there's these 2 cards I'm concerned with. I don't take those. I don't think it's worth taking those risks. You just try to get cards. I drew Jar of Greed, and I use it, as spoiler alert, I use it on my opponent's next turn, and he didn't use Royal Decree, and that mistake cost him. I mean, I don't know if it cost him, but it got to my win condition a lot faster. You have it, use it. Obviously, Bison Shock, you get rid of Bison Shock to hinder BLS. Yeah, you want to hinder me, and you hindered me by banishing BLS. You did not stymie me by activating a Jar of Greed. Yup, it was set. I drew Sangan. Not an attractive draw. The counterfactual is that I would only draw Sangan in my draw phase instead of Cyberstein, so I had to wait a turn. And right now it's Game Shot. To initiate it, you activate Giant Trinade, so your Cyberstein could go off unimpeded. There's no reason not to activate it. Usually zombies don't play scapegoats. They may have a threatening roar, but that's something out of the blue. So yeah, I use Giant Trinade. Guess which monster I'm going to get? I said before that my opponent used Book of Life. Did I say Book? My opponent used Book of Life to banish the Bison Shock, so I have no darks, and I used my Stein summon to solve that. I can't attack through it. I can't double attack through it for the 3 to get 6200. I had to use the Megamorph, and as someone who's somewhat experienced, the solution is obvious to me, and well, that's it. I hope you enjoy this. I mean, I guess this is the end of me stammering around. I guess. Well, I hope to see you later.